The glittering lights of Hollywood have always possessed a unique, almost hypnotic ability to draw the world's attention toward the promise of everlasting glamour, artistic triumph, and the immortalization of talent on the silver screen. For decades, audiences across the globe have watched young performers ascend from total obscurity into the dazzling heights of international stardom. Assuming that the radiant glow of the camera lens reflects a life of unbroken joy and effortless success. We see them smiling on red carpets, accepting prestigious accolades, and breathing life into characters that define generations of cinematic storytelling, embedding themselves permanently into our collective cultural memory. Yet, behind this carefully constructed facade of endless celebration and creative fulfillment, there often lies a profoundly different reality that remains hidden far from the flashing cameras and the adoring crowds. The entertainment industry, while capable of elevating an individual to unimaginable heights of fame, also carries an unspoken heavy weight that presses down upon those who enter its demanding embrace at a tender, vulnerable age. It is a world where the boundaries between public persona and private struggle become blurred, and where the intense pressure to sustain a professional career can quietly take a devastating toll on a person's inner well-being. As viewers, we frequently consume the final artistic product without ever fully realizing the immense personal sacrifices, the profound isolation, and the deep, unseen challenges that these young individuals must navigate when the stage lights finally go down and the applause fades into silence. Before we delve deeper into the intricate layers of this haunting story and uncover the complex series of events that ultimately led to a truly heartbreaking conclusion, please take a brief moment to support our channel by subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and liking this video so that you never miss our in-depth investigative reports on the real stories behind the names you know. The journey of a child actor is inherently fraught with a specific kind of emotional precarity that few outsiders can ever truly comprehend, as the transition from a protected childhood into the demanding, highly competitive realm of professional acting requires a level of maturity that few young minds are fully equipped to handle. When a young talent captures the imagination of major Hollywood studios and mainstream audiences alike, they are suddenly thrust into a relentless cycle of auditions, intensive filming schedules, public scrutiny, and the constant expectation of flawless performance, all while trying to discover who they are as individuals. This dual existence can create a profound sense of dislocation, where a child is celebrated by millions of strangers around the world for their extraordinary creative output, yet may simultaneously feel deeply alienated from the normal, grounding experiences of an ordinary upbringing. The history of modern cinema is filled with the names of those who burned incredibly bright during their earliest years, delivering performances of such striking depth and nuance that they permanently altered the landscape of popular culture, only for the true trajectory of their lives to take a much darker, more reclusive turn as they entered adulthood. It is within this atmospheric and deeply poignant context that we begin to look closer at a narrative that has recently sent shockwaves through the entertainment community, serving as a somber reminder of the hidden vulnerabilities that can exist behind the most memorable faces in film history. For anyone who grew up during the early years of the 2000s, certain cinematic images and voices became instantly iconic, woven into the very fabric of our youth and representing the pinnacle of storytelling across vastly different genres. From whimsical animated adventures to terrifying psychological horror, the sheer versatility required to touch the hearts of young children with a voice of pure innocence and then subsequently terrify mature audiences with a performance of chilling intensity is a rare gift that very few performers possess. Regardless of their age or experience, when an artist achieves that level of cultural impact before even reaching their late teens, their place in Hollywood history seems virtually assured, creating an expectation that their future will be filled with continued artistic exploration and public celebration. However, the entertainment industry can be notoriously fickle, and the very industry that once clamored to cast a rising star can slowly move on to new faces, leaving a former childhood icon to navigate the complex, often unforgiving realities of adult life in a city that constantly demands reinvention. The contrast between the immense public joy a performer brings to the world and the private hardships they may quietly endure in the years that follow is one of the most tragic and recurring themes in the narrative of modern celebrity culture. To truly understand the gravity of the recent revelations that have emerged from the heart of Los Angeles, One must look past the superficial headlines and begin to piece together the delicate, often heartbreaking mosaic of a life lived both in the intense glare of the public eye and in the quiet, challenging shadows of personal struggle. It is a story that compels us to reflect on the true nature of fame, the vital importance of human connection, the silent battles that individuals fight away from the watchful gaze of society, and the profound impact of early childhood success on the long-term journey of the human spirit. As we prepare to examine the specific details, the medical confirmations, and the deeply moving statements that have recently come to light regarding a beloved figure from our cinematic past, we are reminded that every public figure is, first and foremost, a human being who experiences pain, seeks safety, and longs for a place of genuine comfort and peace in a world that can often feel overwhelmingly cold and indifferent. The delicate thread connecting an artist's public legacy to their private reality was irrevocably severed when news began to circulate from the heart of Southern California, signaling the end of a life that had once promised boundless creative horizons. For years, the public had wondered what became of the mesmerizing presence that had dominated screens in the early 2000s, only to be met with a sudden and devastating confirmation that filled the entertainment world with an overwhelming sense of grief and profound shock. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner recently finalized a comprehensive report that shed a somber, definitive light on the tragic passing of Daveigh Chase, the exceptionally talented actress who had captivated millions as a child star before quietly retreating into the vast, anonymous expanse of downtown Los Angeles. This official document, which was first obtained and verified by major news outlets, provided the precise and heartbreaking answers to the questions that had surrounded her untimely departure from the world at the remarkably young age of 35. According to the official findings, the primary cause of death for the celebrated star of the psychological horror masterpiece The Ring was listed as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, universally known as AIDS, a diagnosis that revealed a deeply private and severe medical battle that she had been fighting far from the public eye. In addition to this primary diagnosis, the medical examiner's detailed report explicitly noted the presence of chronic polysubstance use, a medical term defined by clinical experts as the consumption of multiple distinct intoxicating substances within a short period of time, highlighting a complex layer of personal hardship and ongoing struggle that had quietly complicated her health for an extended duration. Despite the harrowing combination of severe medical conditions and physical vulnerabilities that ultimately claimed her life, the official manner of death was officially determined by authorities to be entirely natural, ruling out any elements of foul play or deliberate self-harm, and confirming that her body simply succumbed to a devastating cascade of physical ailments. The timeline of this tragedy, which first began to break across national media platforms through investigative reports by Us Weekly, indicated that the actress breathed her last on June 16th, following a rapid and catastrophic decline in her physical health that completely overwhelmed her weakened immune system. In the painful days immediately preceding her death, her condition had deteriorated to a terrifying degree, culminating in a medical crisis where she was diagnosed with acute meningitis alongside several exceptionally serious and aggressive blood infections that rapidly turned her entire body septic. This condition of systemic sepsis, where the body's response to a severe infection inadvertently triggers widespread inflammation and organ failure, proved to be an insurmountable obstacle for her fragile state, leading to a heartbreaking conclusion that none of her longtime admirers could have ever anticipated. Further complicating the bleak picture of her final days, additional reports from investigative outlets like TMZ revealed that earlier in that fateful month, Chase had been admitted to a local Los Angeles hospital suffering from severe, profound malnutrition, an indication of how deeply her personal struggles had impacted her basic daily survival and physical well-being. As these heavy, dark details surfaced, they painted a deeply affecting portrait of an artist who was once celebrated by the highest echelons of the global entertainment industry, yet spent her final chapters enduring immense physical pain, profound isolation, and a relentless onslaught of interconnected health crises. Amidst the growing darkness of this unfolding medical emergency, a beacon of profound human devotion emerged in the form of her boyfriend, Roy Hernandez, who had remained by her side through the most turbulent and distressing moments of her adult life, witnessing firsthand the heavy toll that her past and present circumstances were taking on her soul. Recognizing that the medical situation had transitioned from a state of chronic management to a critical, life-threatening emergency, Hernandez took the deeply emotional step of creating a public online fundraiser on the GoFundMe platform in a desperate, loving attempt to secure the resources necessary to help the late actress find an elusive sense of true comfort and peace in her final hours. In the deeply moving and intensely personal biography written for the campaign, Hernandez shared a rare, unfiltered glimpse into the private world of the woman he loved, attempting to remind the world of the beautiful human spirit that existed beneath the layer of tragic headlines and cinematic history. He wrote with profound tenderness that Daveigh Chase had always been an absolute light in his life, acknowledging that while many people across the globe knew her exclusively as a phenomenally talented childhood actor who had voiced the spunky Lilo in Disney's Lilo and Stitch, brought the ethereal Chihiro to life in the English dub of Spirited Away, and portrayed the enigmatic Samantha Darko in the cult classic Donnie Darko, the reality behind the scenes was one defined by an unimaginable share of profound hardship. Hernandez revealed to a shocked public that, after experiencing an incredibly difficult and unstable childhood, followed by a painful permanent falling out with her immediate family, Daveigh had found herself deeply vulnerable, facing severe bullying, and struggling constantly to find an essential sense of physical safety and genuine happiness within the harsh, unforgiving environment of downtown Los Angeles. He recounted the moment their paths crossed, noting that when they first met he had made a solemn, heartfelt promise to protect her from the elements that sought to diminish her spirit, vows intended to provide her with the absolute love, stability, and comfort that she had so rightfully deserved throughout her entire life. Together, within the quiet sanctuary of their shared relationship, they managed to find fleeting but beautiful moments of genuine happiness and renewed hope, creating a private world that stood in stark contrast to the chaos and indifference of the city around them. However, by the time the fundraising campaign was actively established, the medical reality had grown entirely bleak, as her physical condition had officially become critical, with attending physicians delivering the devastating news to Hernandez that the actress simply did not have much time left on this earth. In his final, heartbreaking appeal to the public, Hernandez explained that all Daveigh had ever truly wanted in her adult life was a simple, quiet place where they could live together in total tranquility, feel genuinely safe from the judgments of the world, and experience the simple joy of being happy, which made him want more than anything to grant her that elusive sense of home and profound peace in her final fleeting days. The tragic and untimely conclusion of Daveigh Chase's earthly journey stands as a deeply moving testament to the fragile nature of human existence, especially when that existence is shaped by the overwhelming pressures of early cinematic immortality. To fully comprehend why her passing has resonated so profoundly across generations of film enthusiasts, one must trace the remarkable artistic trajectory that initially transformed her into an absolute household name during the dawn of the new millennium. The year 2002 marked an almost unprecedented moment in Hollywood history for a young performer, as Chase simultaneously occupied the center stage of two entirely different cultural phenomenons that demonstrated her breathtaking, chameleon-like range as an actress. Millions of children and families fell completely in love with her vibrant, soulful performance as the voice of Lilo in Walt Disney's animated masterpiece Lilo and Stitch, a role that brought immense warmth, eccentric charm, and a profound understanding of family loyalty to audiences worldwide. Yet, in that exact same calendar year, she pivoted with absolute brilliance into the darkest depths of psychological horror, portraying Samara Morgan, the terrifying, well-dwelling spirit in Gore Verbinski's box office sensation The Ring. Her ability to embody a character of such chilling, malevolent intensity not only terrified millions of theatergoers but also earned her the highly coveted MTV Movie Award for Best Villain, cementing her status as an unforgettable fixture of pop culture history before she had even reached her mid-teens. This duality of innocence and terror defined her early career, proving that her talent was not merely a product of clever casting but a genuine, deeply intuitive artistic force that could seamlessly adapt to any narrative landscape she chose to inhabit. As the industry took notice of her extraordinary capabilities, her professional portfolio expanded rapidly to include a remarkably diverse array of high-profile projects that showcased her enduring versatility across multiple mediums. Audiences watched her deliver a critically acclaimed, deeply nuanced performance in the HBO drama series Big Love, where she portrayed Rhonda Vollmer, a complex, manipulative, and deeply troubled young woman navigating the strictures of a fundamentalist compound, a role that required an immense level of emotional maturity and psychological depth. Her extensive list of additional credits reads like a retrospective of definitive turn-of-the-century entertainment, spanning from her haunting presence as Samantha Darko in the legendary cult classic Donnie Darko, to memorable appearances in beloved television staples like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the long-running medical drama, the supernatural drama Mercy, and popular family films such as Beethoven's Fifth. Each of these performances added another distinct layer to her growing artistic legacy, building an image of a prolific, tirelessly working young actress who seemed entirely destined for a lifetime of continued success, creative evolution, and professional longevity within the highly competitive structures of mainstream Hollywood. Yet, the relentless demands of a life spent entirely beneath the unyielding glare of public scrutiny can slowly extract an incredibly heavy, unseen toll on the human spirit, particularly when the initial rush of childhood stardom begins to give way to the complex, often isolating realities of adult life. As the years progressed, the glittering offers that had once defined her youth began to shift, and the entertainment industry, which had so eagerly celebrated her early breakthroughs, gradually redirected its focus toward newer faces and emerging trends, leaving her to navigate an increasingly quiet professional landscape. In the face of these changing tides, Chase made the deeply personal decision to gradually step away from the overwhelming intensity of the Hollywood spotlight, seeking a life of greater privacy and personal autonomy far removed from the constant judgments and expectations of the public eye. Her final official on-screen appearance occurred in the 2016 independent film American Romance, a project that marked the quiet conclusion of a cinematic career that had burned with such spectacular brightness during its earliest chapters. Following her departure from the screen, her life transitioned into a deeply private, highly reclusive chapter spent within the vast, challenging urban landscape of downtown Los Angeles, where she faced a series of intensely personal battles that remain completely shielded from the knowledge of her millions of global fans. The profound contrast between the joyful, life-affirming art she gave to the world and the deep, silent hardships she endured in her later years serves as a heartbreaking reminder of the complex vulnerabilities that can exist behind even the most iconic faces in film history. The devastating revelation that her life was ultimately cut short by the ravages of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, compounded by the long-term physical toll of chronic polysubstance use, has opened up an incredibly vital, deeply empathetic dialogue about the critical importance of mental health support, substance use intervention, and comprehensive medical care for those navigating the painful aftermath of early fame. Her journey underscores the profound truth that behind every celebrated performance, iconic voiceover, and memorable cinematic image, there is a real, deeply feeling human being who requires the exact same boundaries of safety, unconditional love, and genuine compassion that every one of us seeks in our daily lives. Her story is not merely one of tragic loss, but an enduring call for greater awareness, deeper empathy, and systemic support for individuals who find themselves struggling in the lonely shadows of a society that frequently prioritizes public entertainment over private well-being. For anyone who currently finds themselves or a loved one deeply affected by the complex, painful issues raised throughout this profoundly moving story, please remember that you do not have to carry the weight of these struggles in total isolation, and that professional confidential help is always available to guide you toward a path of recovery and peace. You can reach out for immediate, compassionate assistance by contacting the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP, which translates numerically to 1-800-662-4357, a completely free 24/7 informational service that provides essential support, local treatment referrals, and a dedicated lifeline to those seeking a way forward through the darkest moments of their personal journeys. As we reflect one final time on the beautiful, indelible mark that Daveigh Chase left upon the world of cinema, let us choose to remember her not through the prism of her final painful days, but through the enduring light of her immense artistic gifts, her unforgettable characters, and the profound joy she brought to millions of hearts across the entire globe.